they had any references of original site plans and building plans to reinforce the information we found. And thank you to Henry Sullivan for stepping forward to do that. We did find in one of the surveys, I think it was in '98, where they were going to put a fence up that we saw on the survey, there's a septic tank. It appears the builder had no knowledge of the septic tank. The city had no knowledge of the septic tank. Nobody knows about it except us. Strange. So the committee contacted the Palm Beach County Board of Health and told them about this septic tank. And I'll have to commend them that they followed up, sent a registered letter to Mr. Sivia, who owns the land, and requested that they have this septic tank, do something with it. And they followed through and were able to find it. They dug it up and had made sure it was crushed, filled, and acceptable for the Board of Health. So these are the type of things we don't want to go back in time and see that something wasn't done right. And we're the eyes and the ears to make sure that what has to be done is done, and he can't slip over it. His developer, or his agent, Fred Griffin, said he had no knowledge of it. But I had faxed a copy of that survey to Susan Hoffman, who was his engineer, drawing up the plans. So they did have knowledge, but plans didn't have knowledge. So that's been taken care of, and I have the report if anybody wants to look at that. The committee back in, I think, October, when we met with the city, everybody was concerned about traffic. So we requested that a traffic study was done. We didn't like the traffic study that was done by the county. They thought everything was fine. But I don't particularly trust all government officials. So I want to have my traffic study done at no cost, so that we can have information on what kind of traffic is traveling from the east side of Ocean Drive to the west in a period of time. And they also did Lake Terrace because that's one of our private roads. What, after speaking with Jeff Livergood with the city today, I had to request the reports. They don't help us out too much and just give it to us. You have to ask a question, they answer the question, but they don't offer any more information. You have to have all the questions in line. So the report states that on an average daily traffic usage on Ocean Drive is 3,288 cars per day on that road. Wow. I thought, wow, too, and he said, oh, that's nothing.
What other time period?
This was in November. I don't remember if it was Thanksgiving. He didn't date the report. With an average speed of 30 miles an hour, and 85% of the speed is 34 miles an hour or less. So that means we have people who speed. And I asked him what he did about that, and he did contact Chief Katz, and the police has been monitoring it. So we all have to make sure we go slow because we don't want the tickets. Yes?
How did they get that figure of 3,200?
They put a traffic counter out, the little rubber thing that you drive over.
Oh, I didn't see it, okay.
Yeah, you don't even see it, you don't even think about it. And it'll count the cars, and it also does the speed. Most people don't know it does the speed. Lake Terrace had an daily average of 377 cars per day. Now, most of the snowbirds were here in November, and you have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, and F building on that Lake Terrace. So 377 cars per day to me is a lot. Most people, they might go to work, but he again didn't think that was too much. And the average speed is 21 miles per hour, and 85% of the speed is 26 miles or less. They plan to do another traffic study in February, and then the plan was to do a third traffic study if the hotel is built, to have the comparison about that. So again, we have to watch everything the city does. They say trust them. That was my reaction too. And they are open to anybody who has any questions to email them or call them, and they believe that they'll answer it correctly. The third thing that I've been working on is drainage that Sandy mentioned, and we have sent in public records requests, but I've just found help us with the drainage from the shopping center. I did do a video of the drainage from, I call it the Lake Holiday Inn. It gives a new idea of what the 100-year flood is. I think it was 22 inches in 3 hours we were sprinkled on. And it did run off into the bowling alley. And there is a drain in the bowling alley that does connect to a 60-inch pipe that goes through the north end of the hotel lot into Leisure Lake. So the one thing I'm going to watch now is, I asked Mr. Livergood that if the hotel can't contain all its water and it needs an overflow, I don't think Leisure wants any part of that man in our lake, Leisure Lake. And he would have to ask for permission and permits because that lot was not part of the shopping center, so he cannot. And we will fight that he will not put a drop of his water in our lake. And that's another goal. So we have a lot of little things that we keep bringing up, researching, getting with the city, and trying to make sure it's done correctly or prevent. Any questions? Go ahead.
What is the traffic pattern going to prove for us?
It's important to say that the road can take the accommodation of the traffic, and that I asked about what's going to happen with the hotel with 93 rooms. His answer was most people in this community, if Ocean Drive is their exit from the community, probably cross over that 4 times a day. Now think about it, you go to Publix, you go to the bank, you go to the mall, you go to gas. How many times do you cross over where they had the traffic counter on the west end of Ocean Drive? And his other thought was, with 93 rooms, it would only be the most in a day's time, a few hundred more crossovers of that. And they don't think it's a lot of traffic. He was trying to do a comparison of another neighborhood, and every neighborhood he gave me, I said, that doesn't compare. You have to do something better. But he didn't have anything that was acceptable to me on another neighborhood that has as much traffic that goes through here. Where they also have residents who back out onto Ocean Drive to get out of their homes. And these things are important to us. So again, we stick together and work on this so that we don't have a hotel would be a better idea. Any more questions? Yes?
Was that septic system that was installed also treating sewage? Or was it just surface water from the parking lot?
No, a septic tank was put in either for a home, when it was a cow pasture, that septic tank, or it could have been a possibility for Caldos, when they were developing the community, because a septic tank also has a leach field, and that's what was there. So they wanted to make sure it was drained, crushed, and disposed of properly, and they could rebury it, so that was acceptable.
And they did crush the leach field also?
It was agreeable to Palm Beach County Board of Health, and the woman said she will not stop until he does it right. So it was an unusual employee. They usually give you another phone number, and another phone number, and another phone number, but we don't give up either. The septic tank was, it's on the east side of the lot. There's two piles of dirt, okay? And then there's a tree. So it's by the tree, by the dirt, in that area. Yes?
When is he anticipated starting the actual building?
I asked the city, they have no information of him starting. I spoke to his engineer who did the conceptual plans, Susan Hoffman, and she thought he was going to be able to start in March.
But he's in court now. Or
Yeah.
The city's in court now.
Yes.
They're starting because our houses are vibrating.
When they bring in the 28 tons worth of dirt in the truck and they dump it, you're gonna feel that.
We sure did.
He is allowed to put fill in there, and I did complain about going 4 feet above the 10-foot level. We don't give up. I mean, it's emails and complaints and observations.
I called the cops,
Good.
and the cops said, call the city. But they didn't have a number for me to call. So maybe we should all take a number and plan on calling the city, and we get the vibrations, the whole house shook.
Yes, that's
I
very
thought things were gonna go
uncomfortable.
off shelves.
Yes. And that's the truck going through there vibrating the land.
You're darn right, so they're constructing, they're doing something.
Well, they come-
No, they're not
rocky
constructing,
soil.
ma'am, they put out their markers when they survey where the building's gonna go, that's a fill,
And that's wonderful, but you should hear it.
No, I know.
yes.
I was glad when it flooded.
What else has?
What about the Board of Education with the school across the street? Nothing's been said about that. They're
Oh, we have,
walking here.
we have said very much about that, of the students walking by. If the hotel is built, it is not gonna be a comfortable hotel for anybody. It's not a place where I go to because I don't wanna look at the back of a bowling alley, the back of a shopping center, or into somebody's home in a 55. They said they saw the site. I said you couldn't have. You don't want a hotel there. So we're fighting, we're doing everything. We need support from people, and everything takes,
But
you
what
know,
about
money.
the people that live in the single-family dwellings whose children are walking here and this and that? They don't contribute and or say anything?
They were personally approached by people on the committee, or maybe somebody in the room actually went to them